This is a true story, narrated by the owner of the YouTube channel Mr. How Ghost Story. This story is titled The Devil Mother. If you haven't seen the previous parts, please start with part 1 available in the playlist to better understand the story. Continuing from the previous part, part 9 is titled, Was Wrongly Accused by the Entire Village, inviting everyone to listen attentively. The cat's cries suddenly rang out as it was startled, followed by the clanging of pots and pans. It's unclear whose cat it was nearby, but it seemed familiar enough to sneak into the kitchen to steal food. The noise of the cat running around was loud, and John sighed with relief because, after all, it wasn't the ghostly creature he had been worrying about. Muttering to himself, John cursed. That damn cat, I don't know how many times it has scared me to death. Turning back to look at the homeowner, John saw that he had been sitting on the ground for a while, his limbs still trembling uncontrollably. Looking at him, John felt both sympathy and annoyance. If it had been a real demon earlier, they would either be in danger or it would have fled. But even John, who often dealt with coffins and corpses, felt his heart nearly stop just moments ago. Not only that, the cat's cries at night were enough to give anyone the chills. The cries of a cat at midnight sounded no different from a crying child, and just imagining it could make anyone too scared to step outside. And yet, amid the boiling water and intense concentration, the cursed cat had shrieked, scaring anyone who heard it. They waited until nearly dawn, but ultimately, other than the cat's visit, nothing unusual happened that night. As dawn broke, the master went downstairs to see John and the exhausted homeowner, saying, "You two should try to get some rest during the day. We'll continue to keep watch tonight." John helped the homeowner, who had dozed off, to bed and then asked his master, "Are you sure it will come here, master?" The master thought for a moment before replying, "These things take time, we cannot rush. It's all just speculation. It might not come here, but I am certain that the demon is in this village." John acknowledged and went out to the garden to wash his face, picking up the pots and pans the cat had knocked over the previous night and arranging them neatly. The door was still slightly ajar, but there were long, sharp scratch marks on the back door. John hurriedly called his master. "Master, come and look at this. What's on the door?" The master quickly came to the back, and indeed, there were scratch marks on the door. He looked intently and then pondered. John asked, "Could it be that the demon came here but we didn't notice, master?" The master shook his head. "No, this wasn't made by a demon. I didn't sense its deathly aura last night either." John muttered, "Then it must have been that cat last night." The master closely examined the scratch marks inside. These are indeed animal scratches, but how could a cat make such long and sharp marks? John stammered, "Could it be a ghost cat, master? I've noticed it recently. It only comes around midnight, and its cries are terrifying." The master didn't know how to explain, and at that moment, the homeowner also woke up and went out to the garden. Seeing the two standing there, he rubbed his eyes and said, "Oh dear, I was so scared last night that I fell asleep. Fortunately, nothing happened. Thinking about it now, I'm still shaking. I'll go to the market to buy some food for everyone after I wash up." The master also advised the homeowner to try to rest during the day and took out a silver bracelet from his bag and handed it to him, saying, "Wear this. A faint-hearted person like you can easily lose your soul if you get too scared." The homeowner gratefully accepted the bracelet and then went to the market to buy food. In the house, only John and the master remained. Seeing his master still deep in thought, John poured tea for him and gently asked, "This event, although I only heard you mention it, I also felt extremely dangerous. Last night it was just the cat's cries, but I almost lost my soul." The master took the teacup from John and nodded. "Whatever it is, that was no ordinary cat, and it's not strange that you felt scared. Perhaps there's something else here that we've overlooked. I've been pondering this since earlier and still can't figure it out. But I feel very uneasy, and this unease doesn't come from the demon we're waiting for. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Anyway, our immediate task is to find the demon disguised as a human. But what if my predictions about the situation are wrong?" John, seeing the master very worried, reassured him. "Master, don't blame yourself, you've done everything you could. Moreover, you've never faced this type of demon before, so how could you possibly know its every move?" The master chuckled softly. "Thank you, but I still hope that I am wrong this time, so that nothing happens to our village." As the two were talking, the front door swung open abruptly, with a strong and hurried motion. Rushing inside was the homeowner, his hair disheveled and his face pale, gasping as if something terrifying had chased him. John quickly went to close the door, while the homeowner was still panting too heavily to speak. John asked urgently, "What's the matter? Why are you breathing as if you've been chased by a ghost?" The homeowner placed a hand on his chest and spoke slowly. "Master, something big has happened in the village. Last night. John, irritated, said, "What about last night?" The master gestured for John to help the homeowner sit down. He poured water for the man and calmly asked, "Just relax and take a moment to rest, drink some water, and then tell us what happened." The homeowner gulped down the water and then looked at the master anxiously. Last night, 2 children in the village went missing. Not just missing, but killed because their beds were covered in blood and more blood. The things you predicted, they're really happening. It has started eating children. The master stood up in shock, trembling as he spoke. 2 children, in one night. Are you sure? The homeowner affirmed. Yes, master, I am certain. I went to the market earlier and everyone was already talking about it. I even ran to their house and saw the whole family crying and wailing. The mother who lost both of her children was banging her head against the wall wanting to die. A boy and a girl, just 5 and 7 years old this year. The master asked further, "Is their house the one with a lot of cacti used as a fence on the path leading to it? And there's a large bamboo bush in front of the house." The homeowner was shocked and replied, "Yes, that's the exact house. But how did you know? You haven't been out." The master stumbled back into his chair, one hand pressing against his forehead. John thought for a moment and then remembered it was that house. John said, "That's the house we went to, intending to put charms on the door to ward off evil spirits, but the owner not only refused but also cursed at us terribly. If it's the same house with a boy and a girl, then it can't be a coincidence. It's because of the children that my master came with the intention to help. After that, my master even went to the temple to ask for help." The master stopped John from continuing, gripping the chair, and struggling to stand. He said to John, "Prepare our things, and we'll go to that house to see what really happened. Perhaps we will discover where that demon is hiding. If things continue like this, all the children in the village will be devoured, and then the whole village will be wiped out." John was about to run into the room to fetch his bag for his master when the homeowner quickly pulled John back. "No, master, you must not go there." John looked at the homeowner puzzled. "Why not? This is how we can find that demon. Why are you stopping us?" The homeowner then said, "The reason I had to run back here so urgently, first was to inform you, and second, there's another matter that is." Part 9 has concluded. Please remember to subscribe to the channel to watch Part 10. Thank you very much. Goodbye and see you in the next video.